uncovering the hidden moments that changed sports history forever. Before joining Detroit, Yzerman played for the Peterborough Petes in the Ontario Hockey League, where scouts noticed his incredible vision and hockey sense. The Red Wings were struggling when they drafted him, having missed the playoffs for 5 straight years. They needed a savior, and they got one in Yzerman. By his 3rd season, at just 21 years old, Yzerman exploded for 50 goals and 102 points. The Red Wings named him captain in 1986, making him the youngest captain in team history at that time. Players this young rarely got the C on their jersey, showing how much the team already respected him. Yzerman made the All-Star team 7 times in the playoffs, despite Yzerman's heroics. In the 1988-89 season, he had his best statistical year, scoring 65 goals and 90 assists for 155 points, one of the best offensive seasons in NHL history. Yet the Red Wings still couldn't get past the second round of the playoffs. This created a strange situation. Detroit had one of the best players in hockey, but couldn't win when it mattered most. The pressure was building, and some in management started to wonder, was Yzerman really the right leader for this team? Could his style of play win a championship? These questions would eventually lead to the biggest crisis in Yzerman's Red Wings career. In 1993, the Red Wings hired Scotty Bowman to turn the team around. Bowman wasn't just any coach. He had already won 5 Stanley Cups with the Montreal Canadiens and was known as the toughest, most demanding coach in hockey. What he got was a talented 28-year-old Yzerman, but a Red Wings team that couldn't win when it mattered most. The Red Wings were stuck, finishing with strong regular season records like their 43-20 on the ice. The first meeting between Bowman and Yzerman set the tone. Bowman bluntly told his captain that his style of play would never win a Stanley Cup. "You play too much river hockey," Bowman told him, meaning Yzerman was too freewheeling and not structured enough. This was shocking for Yzerman, who had been the face of the franchise for a decade. No one had questioned his ability before. But Bowman wasn't impressed by Yzerman's scoring records or all-star appearances. He only cared about one thing: playoff success. Making things worse, team owner Mike Ilitch was getting impatient. He had bought the Red Wings in 1982 and invested $8 million to make them winners. After a decade of playoff disappointments, Ilitch wanted results. The 1993-94 season became a power struggle. Bowman tried to change how Yzerman played, while Yzerman struggled to adapt his game. When the Red Wings lost again in the first round of the 1994 playoffs to the San Jose Sharks, something had to change, and that something might be Yzerman himself. However, the first big move Bowman made wasn't to build around Yzerman, but to question his role. "If we're going to win the cup, Steve needs to change the way he plays," Bowman told reporters in training camp. "Great players check. They play both ends of the ice." He wanted Yzerman to change his game and focus more on defensive responsibilities, even if it meant scoring fewer goals. Bowman started cutting Yzerman's ice time, sometimes benching him for long stretches during games. In one shocking moment, he kept Yzerman on the bench during a critical power play, something unthinkable before Bowman arrived. Yzerman wasn't happy about this new direction. "I've been here 10 years doing things a certain way. It's not easy to change overnight," Steve said after a team meeting. The relationship between the star player and his demanding coach was getting worse. Things reached a boiling point during a game against Chicago when Bowman yelled at Yzerman on the bench for a defensive lapse. Teammates watched in uncomfortable silence as their captain was dressed down like a rookie. Making matters worse, Bowman brought in former Montreal players like Paul Coffey who knew his system. Yzerman felt his own influence on the team slipping away. The locker room began to divide between Bowman's guys and Yzerman loyalists. Red Wings management, particularly Jimmy Devellano, sided with Bowman. "We've tried it Steve's way for years. Maybe it's time to try something different," Devellano said in a radio interview that made headlines across Detroit. For the first time since being drafted, Yzerman's future with the Red Wings was in doubt. But then, things started to change on the ice. In 1994, Bowman brought in key players to help Yzerman, including defensive forward Bob Airey, tough guy Dino Ciccarelli, and veteran defenseman Mark Howe. The coach was building a team that matched his vision: tough, defensive-minded, and experienced in playoff battles. The front office also drafted defenseman Nicklas Lidstrom, giving Yzerman a future Hall of Fame teammate to strengthen the blue line. The team started winning more games, finishing with an impressive 33-11-4 record in the shortened 1994-95 season. More importantly, they reached the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 1966, though they were swept by the New Jersey Devils. Yzerman's numbers dropped significantly, from his usual point-per-game pace to just 38 points in 47 games, as he adapted to Bowman's new system. He was back-checking more, playing a more complete two-way game, and sacrificing personal glory for team success. In practice, Yzerman was often the first to do Bowman's grueling defensive drills, setting an example for teammates. "I've never seen a star player change his game so dramatically," teammate Keith Primo said. "Steve could have fought it, but he bought in for the team." Still, behind the scenes, trade talks were happening. Yzerman was definitely on the trading block, former Red Wings scout Mark Howe revealed years later. There were serious discussions with Ottawa. The deal was about 90% done at one point. The Senators were offering a package of young players and draft picks. For a while, Detroit's front office was tempted, questioning whether Yzerman could truly adapt long-term to Bowman's system. They considered if a fresh start was necessary to move forward. During a critical meeting in February 1995, Bowman, Devellano, and owner Mike Ilitch debated Yzerman's future for hours. According to team insiders, it was Ilitch who hesitated. "Mike couldn't pull the trigger," one executive said. He kept asking, "What if we trade him and he wins somewhere else?" While the Red Wings' playoff run that spring cooled trade talks temporarily, the question remained, was Yzerman truly buying into Bowman's system, or was he just going through the motions? And would the relationship between star player and demanding coach ever improve enough to bring a Stanley Cup to Detroit? By 1995, rumors were everywhere that Yzerman might be traded to the Ottawa Senators. The hockey world was shocked that Detroit would consider trading their captain, the face of their franchise, for over a decade. News reports said the deal was all but done, according to Hockey Night in Canada's Ron MacLean, who reported that Yzerman to Ottawa is just waiting for final approval. The rumored trade would send Yzerman to the Senators for center Alexei Yashin, defenseman Wade Redden, and Ottawa's first-round pick. For Red Wings fans, this was unthinkable. 19 jerseys were everywhere in Detroit, and Yzerman was the one bright spot during years of disappointment. What made it worse was how Yzerman found out about the trade talks. He heard it not from the team, but from his agent, who called after getting tipped off by a hockey reporter. To find out that way, after all these years, I won't lie, it hurt, Yzerman told the Detroit Free Press. "I always thought I'd be a Red Wing for life." The relationship seemed broken beyond repair. At one practice, Yzerman and Bowman didn't speak a single word to each other. Teammates noticed the captain would walk out of team meetings when Bowman started talking. In the locker room, Yzerman kept to himself, no longer the vocal leader he had been before. Detroit radio shows were flooded with angry callers defending their captain. Signs appeared at Joe Louis Arena reading, "Trade Bowman, keep Stevie, why?" The situation got so tense that owner Mike Ilitch had to call an emergency meeting with both men present. "It was like a bad divorce where the couple is still living in the same house," teammate Darren McCarty recalled. "Everyone was walking on eggshells. We didn't know if our captain would be gone tomorrow or if he'd even want to be there." Things came to a head in the 1995-96 season when Yzerman was benched during a crucial game against Colorado. Bowman kept him on the bench for most of the third period despite Detroit trailing. After the game, reporters surrounded Yzerman's locker, expecting an outburst. Instead, he simply said, "Ask the coach why I didn't play. I have nothing to say." The tension had reached its peak. The next day, Detroit newspapers ran headlines like, "The captain's last stand," and "Yzerman on the way out." Fans were worried their captain would be gone, with signs at games reading, "No Yzerman, no season tickets," and "Trade Bowman, not number 19. Behind closed doors, trade talks with Ottawa intensified. The deal was so close that the Senators had already prepared a press release announcing Yzerman's arrival. Ottawa owner Rod Brydon even booked a conference room at a hotel for the announcement. The decision came down to Red Wings owner Mike Ilitch, who finally said, "We can't do this to our fans or to Steve. He deserves better from us after everything he's done." The trade was called off at the last minute, with Ilitch personally calling Senators management to back out. When the news broke that Yzerman was staying, Joe Louis Arena erupted in cheers during the next home game. Fans gave Yzerman's a 5-minute standing ovation when he stepped onto the ice. In an emotional moment, he raised his stick to acknowledge the crowd, his eyes visibly wet. That night, Yzerman scored 2 goals in a 4-2 win. It seemed like a turning point for both him and the Red Wings. Looking back now, trading Yzerman would have been one of the biggest mistakes in hockey history. After the near trade, Yzerman went on to completely transform his game, becoming one of the best two-way centers in NHL history. He led Detroit to 3 Stanley Cups, 1997, 1998, and 2002, finally bringing championship glory back to Hockeytown. the Red Wings became the model franchise of the NHL, and Yzerman's number 19 now hangs in the rafters at Little Caesars Arena. "That period changed me as a player and as a person," Yzerman said. "In 2002, after winning his third cup, Scotty pushed me to be better in ways I didn't even know I could improve. It was painful then, but it made all the difference." While Bowman definitely had his reasons for wanting to move on from Yzerman, keeping number 19 in Detroit proved to be the right call. Bowman later admitted, "Steve became exactly what we needed, a complete player who put the team first. Without Yzerman's leadership, the Red Wings might never have become the dynasty of the late 1990s. The potential trade to Ottawa would have sent him to a struggling franchise where his career might have faded into obscurity. Instead, he cemented his legacy as one of hockey's greatest captains. Sometimes the best trades are the ones you don't make." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story about hockey's greatest almost trade, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like to catch more untold hockey stories. Do you agree that sometimes the best trades are the ones you don't make? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.